Everyone, Death Metal Antichrist here, back with a brand new fucking video. Now, yesterday I posted a video where I made a mistake where I called myself Thrash Metal Headbanger, which was my old account name, so sorry about that. Anyways, now for another one of my October month videos, where I do horror movie videos, I'm going to be doing my favourite horror moments. Now, I have a lot of ones here, so this is probably going to be a slightly lengthy one, not too long, but, yeah, and, I may or may not be doing a Halloween video, or a video where I tell ghost stories, so, keep an eye out for those ones, and, stay tuned for more. Anyways, without further ado, we should probably get on with it. Now, first up is Kevin Bacon's kill from the original Friday the 13th. Now, by no means is this my favourite Friday the 13th movie. It really isn't. It's definitely a very fucking iconic horror movie in general, but in this scene, Kevin Bacon gets his fucking head pulled back like that, and then a fucking knife just goes through his throat. And since Tom Savini did the, gore and, makeup shit in this, it streams down and it looks so fucking amazing, because Tom Savini is obviously the king of gore here. So he made this kill shine with all his shit, and this is easily the most remembered kill from the entire movie. It's one of the most memorable kills from the entire Friday the 13th franchise in general, and good thing it should be remembered as such too, so yeah. Anyways, next up is in Poltergeist, and this is the scene where the detective watches his face, and he notices kind of a slight cut on his face, and so he goes to pull at it, and he ends up just ripping his entire fucking face off. When I first saw this, I was like, holy shit. And I'm not a Family Guy fan at all. I think the show was fucking just mediocre at best, at least after the first few seasons. But they did a parody of it where he rips his face off and he's Hank Hill. And I just thought that was really fucking funny. That whole episode was pretty good too, because I like early Family Guy. So yeah, that was a fucking awesome... Oh my god, I loved that part in Family Guy. But yeah, Poltergeist in general is it's almost like a family horror movie, really. Realistically. Obviously the remake is shit. I think that's common knowledge. But this movie is a fucking classic movie. Classic ghost movie. I watched it for the first time a couple years ago, and it was, at the time, one of my favourite movies, and it still is one of my favourite movies of all time. I love the acting, I love the way it's set up, and, it's said to be, the set is said to be cursed because people ended up dying, people from the movie, not long after. Tragically, the little girl died, and, obviously that's tragic, so, yeah. But, yeah, yeah, anyways, so, next up is the killer reveal in Sleepaway Camp. Now, I want to say Sleepaway Camp is a semi-underrated movie. I want to say it's pretty underrated, but at the same time, it's kind of developed a following, so I'm not going to say it's completely underrated, but fuck was this fucking insane when I first saw this. I was watching it with a mate, and when the killer was revealed to actually be a dude, and to be her, and it was a dude, we were like, what the fuck? And it's honestly one of my favorite slashers. After that, I couldn't sleep. I was like, what the fuck was that? What did I just see? It was honestly just a massive shock to both of us. Fuck, we were just and, oh yeah, another side note about Sleepaway Camp that I find fucking hilarious. It's kind of like a Friday the 13th-esque slasher, but you know how, the girls in Friday the 13th are kind of slutty, and everyone's horny in those movies. The dudes in this movie are kind of slutty because they're wearing, booty shorts and shit. So, and obviously, that goes, with saying, pretty sure, basically every fucking, Friday the, slasher movie from the 80s has, horny characters. You can't make a slasher without horny characters. Anyway, up next is the closet scene from the original Halloween. This is my all-time favorite horror movie, and the closet scene in this was fucking crazy. Not really crazy actually, but it's a staple in horror, and I commend it for being such. So yeah. Oh yeah, and that scene where PJ Souls, the character she plays, I can't remember her name. It'll come to me fucking later, I betcha. Her boyfriend gets like fucking killed in the kitchen. That's another cool one. Okay, now next up is from Cronenberg's The Fly. Now now what I picked for this movie was when Jeff Goldblum's character gets of course he turns into a fly and all, like mutates. She's just regular body horror, obviously, and it's just, and he has intercourse, of course, with his girlfriend, and they don't know whether it's going to be human or a fly. So she goes to get an abortion, and when the baby is aborted, it comes out as a fucking huge maggot. And when I saw this, it was like, that was like one of the fucking craziest like special effects in horror, and obviously because this movie is like, it's a landmine, realistically. It's a fucking landmine in horror history. And I commend it for being such. So, yeah, I remember fucking seeing this and thinking, holy shit, it's a fucking maggot. I was blown away from this. I was absolutely blown away when I saw this. It was the coolest shit I'd ever seen at that point. The coolest shit ever. It was fucking shocking. It was grotesque. It was gory. It was everything I wanted. Next up is from another body horror film. Well, not really body horror, just a kind of sci-fi horror movie that has like really good effects and some body horror in it. And that is John Carpenter's The Thing. And more specifically, what's seen in The Thing, it's when the guy tries to like perform something on the dude's chest, like that fucking thing, and the stomach opens up his claws and bites his fucking hands off. That was one of the best, like, for the time must have been sort of extreme. Obviously, well, sort of, but like, I mean, in this movie, it's great. I love it. And another part of this same exact scene that I love, and I'm including on this, is when the dude's like head just like rips off and kind of just grows legs and like runs away. That part was fucking amazing. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was insane. I loved it so much. It was amazing. I really did. I loved it. I really did. So yeah, it was amazing. It was really fucking cool. And The Thing is one of my favorite all-time horror movies, just because of those effects. And that soundtrack as well was amazing. It wasn't even done by John Carpenter, which John Carpenter is an excellent musician. So, just goes to show. But like, this one was done by an actual orchestra. Now, next up is when Jason gets killed in Friday the 13th Part 4. Now, he gets a fucking machete, like, right here, like, just sliding it down his face. When I first saw this, I was nothing short of blown a fucking way. It was amazing. I loved it so much. Great. And at this point, they really wanted to kill Jason off. They thought he was dead. We all thought he was dead at that time. Because, like, how are you going to come back from that shit? But Jason, as he does, came back from it. And, yeah. And the rest is fucking history. Obviously, one of the best kills ever. And when I say ever, I mean ever. Great. I just fucking love it so much. It's honestly just a great thing. Next up is, this is a line, but the way it's done just makes it one of my favorite horror movie moments. And that is, the line where Barbara's brother in Night of the Living Dead says, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." That line, every time I watch both versions, the remake and the original, that's what I'm looking forward to when it first starts. That fucking line. Like, it's immortalized in the horror genre, basically, so I fucking commend this movie for doing... It essentially started the zombie kind of genre of horror, and yeah, obviously it's not my favorite. I prefer Return of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. This is a fucking... Oof, I love it so much. And yeah, so that's what I got to say about that. Now, next up is the shower scene from Psycho. Psycho obviously was a classic and still is a classic and made everyone afraid of showers. Sucks for all the thrashers. But yeah. Now, fun fact about this scene is they used Hershey's chocolate syrup for the blood because they had to film it in black and white because of how gory it was for the time. Like, obviously it's not gory now, but like, this was 1960, so the worst shit you had was like Universal monster movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Wolfman, The Invisible Man, shit like that, right? And this came out like, because obviously Alfred Hitchcock is a fantastic director and shocked everyone. Now, next up is from The Exorcist, the head spin scene. Now, there's two head spin scenes, but I want to count them both in this. No, there's one where she says, "You know what they did, you know what she did, your cunting daughter." I want to count that, and I also want to count the one where they're actually trying to exorcise her. I want to count that one too, because I just fucking love these. Like, The Exorcist is such a fantastic movie, such an iconic movie, so I commend it for that. Now, next up is from the director's cut of The Exorcist, and that's when she's like crab walking down the stairs and she's like puking blood. This scene was fucking, like... I honestly don't know why they deleted this scene from the original. Like, it's honestly, like, it's a Like, yeah, it doesn't really add much to the story, obviously, but it's just such a cool... oh my fucking god, like... Of course, Exorcist at the time, everyone was puking in the cinema because of it. Kind of what's happening with Terrifier 2 now. So... if this scene was in there, people would be going, "What the fuck?" So, fuck. Yeah. Now, next up is Leatherface in the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, when Sally Hardesty's getting away, and he goes fucking apeshit with his chainsaw, like, it just starts waving it around everywhere. I just thought this was a fantastic way to end the movie, and this is obviously, like, for the time, this is a very fucking extreme movie. Like, the only thing that was like as extreme as this at the time was like The Exorcist. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know what they expected going into a movie called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, I would have thought something very, gory, so... Fuck, my phone dropped. Hi. But this scene, what I love about this scene is the chaoticness of it. The way, how fucking bad she's running away, and we never know what happened to her after this. Of course, we've got that new movie, and she's alive, but we all hate that movie, so it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, that was, yeah. Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie was amazing. So, yeah. Now, next up, I'm going to be like... Okay, so the next up is when Frankenstein actually comes alive in the original Frankenstein. This was just such a landmine in horror history because, like, the Universal monster movies... If the Universal monster movies never happened, horror would... All the slashers, all the ghost movies, all the zombie movies, all of those type of movies that happened probably wouldn't have happened just because of the influence that these movies have made. But this movie in general, like, it's one of my favorites. Like, obviously, I prefer, like, The Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon because those movies are just fucking so iconic. Like, the Creature from the... Like, obviously, they're not really scary, but at the time, they were because, like, it was the 40s, 50s, and 30s. Well, like, you can't really expect much. So, yeah. That's yeah, that was fucking extreme for the time. And this scene is just so iconic in horror history, and I commend it for that. Anyways, guys, those are all the things I have for now. This is probably the longest video I've ever made. And anyways, I'll see you next time. Stay brutal.